y'all. Okay, so my name's Echo, and for my project I chose Lebanese wedding traditions. So yeah, let's get right into it. Cultural influences. Okay, so a little bit about Lebanon. So it is a country, is located in the Middle East area, so it's right in between like Middle East, Northern Africa, and kind of like south of Europe. So it's located on the Mediterranean coast. So there's a lot of cultural influences coming up from Africa, Arabic influences from the Middle East, and Roman influences from Europe. So it creates like a really rich culture. It's also south of Israel, so a lot of the citizens of Lebanon practice either Islam or Christianity. Okay, so pre-wedding. So, all right, let me describe Lebanese weddings a little bit. Okay, so they're very over the top, very dramatic, very almost like regal, royal, extravagant, lavish, luxury, all that. Which made them really interesting to like research about because it's like one big party. Okay, so pre-wedding, it starts right from the engagement. The engagement is a very like public affair, like so the future groom, like his whole family will go to the bride's house, and the father-in-law of the groom will ask for permission from the father-in-law of the bride that his son can marry his daughter. And if they say yes, then they throw a big party right that night. So it jumps off right like that. Big hair and makeup for the bride. A lot of Lebanese brides take a very princess look. There's nothing simple. They go over the top with the hair and the makeup right from the get-go. And also all the attendees wear formal attire as well. So not just the bride and groom look spiffy, everyone really dresses super nice, and it sets the tone for like a night to remember if everyone's dressed their best. And so before the wedding ceremony, the bride and the groom have separate parties at their respective homes. So like the bride and her family and friends like will have a party at her family's home, and same with the groom. They decorate their houses really nice. They have food, drinks, sweets, flowers, all that good stuff. After those parties, the groom and his groomsmen head to the church and get ready for the ceremony. At the bride's party and at her house, the future in-laws, so the groom's parents, will present the bride with a gift of some sorts. It's usually a gold necklace that she can wear that day, but some brides get like a necklace, earrings, a bracelet, anything of that nature. What happens next is also, definitely gonna butcher this, but Zalgauda. Basically what it is, it's like a traditional singing or chant of some sorts. It's very high pitched. It can be found in a lot of like North African or Middle Eastern cultures in various forms. But it's like a high pitched singing, chanting, kind of blessing the bride for her big day. And also a car parade. Okay, so it's kind of a tradition or a traditional belief that loud noises ward off evil spirits. So that's kind of where the chanting, the singing comes in, but also car parades. So the bride and the groom will rent luxury cars that they'll travel in for the whole day, and wedding guests will follow them in their cars. And they'll just honk and be super loud and all that stuff, so it wards off evil spirits. But also, because there's so many guests and so many cars in this kind of parade, it usually shuts down entire streets, which makes the party even bigger for the people, and it kind of invites the people who live on those streets. They love it, they get a kick out of it, and they'll throw rice, flower petals, and candy-coated almonds at the bride for good luck and fertility. Well, let's get to the actual wedding itself. During the reception, dramatic photo shoots, since the bride and the groom look so great and they put so much effort into their appearance. They get photographed a lot. That's a big priority. The Zaffi, probably the most interesting part of the Lebanese wedding. It's the entrance of the bride and the groom to the reception. That starts with dancers, music, clapping, drummers, all of that. My next slide is actually a link that shows a really cool video. Definitely check it out. But yeah, that's definitely the most, I would say, what I found most interesting about researching Lebanese weddings. For entertainment, they have belly dancers and fireworks, which is really cool. The fireworks also stems back to the loud noises thing, to ward off evil spirits, and the cake cutting. So the bride and the groom put their hands on top of each other together to symbolize their unison and future life together as one, and they cut the cake with a sword. So traditionally, the cake is believed like the wheat symbolizes fertility, and then the sweetness of the sugar of the cake symbolizes like the sweetness of their future life together. So the cake's very symbolic. And then after the cutting of the cake, the bride and groom kiss, and that kind of leads to post-wedding. Right after the cake is cut is when the wedding kind of ends. It's just how it is. The bride and the groom, unlike other like cultures, especially like American culture, the bride and the groom have to stay until all of the guests are gone. Usually in weddings, the guests will see the bride and groom off to like their honeymoon or their suite or wherever they're staying for the night. But in Lebanese culture, the bride and the groom wish everyone a good night, and if they leave before all the guests have left, it's considered like rude and disrespectful. But a lot of Lebanese people who are familiar with the wedding culture or traditions, they know that after the cake cutting, the wedding's usually over and they kind of skedaddle on out, so they're not dragging the night out for the bride and the groom because clearly it's already been a really long day. But yeah, I also mentioned a slide on considerations that I mentioned in my paper. So considerations for the couple, definitely book a Lebanese wedding planner. I think that's the simplest way to ensure that they know the traditions that are important to you. You might want to consider decorating your own home for the pre-party. Of course, other companies could do it for you, but it might save you a little bit of money. And it's in your house anyways, so might as well decorate it. And then list of attendees. Lebanese weddings tend to be really big, so who you want to invite. Considerations for the event planner. Venue, I would say, is the most important. You have all these like big extravagant elements. You have to make sure your venue can deliver on that. So stuff like fireworks. I learned that some Lebanese weddings have fireworks inside. I didn't even know that was possible. But yeah, like some wedding venues can cater to that. You also want a venue with a large capacity, since Lebanese weddings tend to be so big. And another thing is you want flexible timing, both as the planner and in the venue, because Lebanese weddings are kind of a chain of events. Whereas like, it starts at the pre-party, then you go to the ceremony, then you go to the reception. And timing's big in any wedding, but since the elements tend to fall in line, you want to kind of leave room for error and just be flexible in your timing. But yeah, that's all that there is. I hope you enjoyed my presentation and learned a little bit more about Lebanese wedding culture.